Kathy and John and I are going to sing Trust Your Heart to Lead You Home.
The words are great.
Yeah.
At the starting of your journey, you can never see the end. Still you find the faith to follow down a road that often bends. You're searching for an answer, for a peace you've never known. You hope to reach a haven where you'll be free to grow.
Trust your heart to lead you home. Find the path that's yours alone. Listen to the voice inside you. It will grow in strength to guide you. Trust your heart to lead you home. Home is not the place you started from. It's a place you're reaching for. When you stretch beyond yourself to find a harbor in the storm, a dream that ray your compass, your passion is your guide. Sometimes you will have to crawl, but sometimes you can fly. Trust your heart to lead you home. Find the path that's yours alone. Listen to the voice inside you. It will grow in strength to guide you. Trust your heart to lead you home. Like a painter with her canvas, or a sculptor with his clay, your life takes shape beneath your hands as you work through each day. You create a fabric with the threads of love you hold. You weave into your tapestry the pattern of your soul. Trust your heart to lead you home. Find the path that's yours alone. Listen to the voice inside you. It will grow in strength to guide you. Trust your heart to lead you home. Listen to the voice inside you. It will grow in strength to guide you. Trust your heart to lead you home.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for that dynamic trio. You did really nice, didn't you? Didn't they do nice? Yeah. Thanks. And for a first attempt, that's great. My name is Mark Kenny, and I'd like to welcome those of you who are here in person and live streaming participants to Unity of Missoula. As we begin our Sunday service, let's honor one another and take a few moments to greet each other with waves, nods, and other non-physical means to show our appreciation and love for each other. And please refrain from vulgar gestures. Now, as we move into the more formal part of our service, let's remember, Unity of Missoula is a team ministry founded on the 5 basic principles of unity. And these are, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. And the third one is, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do and give my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. Let's see, we got to pass out sign-up sheets. We got one for Sunday hospitality, and it seems like we've got an opening the last Sunday of the month. So anyway, I'll pass it out. So Sunday, April I meant. Too much on my mind. Okay, this is the time in the service when we share together the reading of the daily word. A bi-monthly meditation magazine published by Unity World Headquarters. The word for today is wholeness. It is comforting, unshakable. Wholeness is the unshakable eternal truth of me. It is comforting to remember no matter what may happen to me in the world, I am always whole. Even during times of illness or insufficiency, my true nature is of divine wholeness. Worldly situations will always be in a state of flux, changing and shifting in ways I cannot control. I do what I can to tend to my health and other material needs, but I do not worry over things I cannot control. Instead, I rely upon my prayer life and other spiritual practices to claim my wholeness. This is the enduring truth of who I am, whole and complete, regardless of any outside circumstance or appearance. How liberating it is to know that I am secure in God and complete at all times, spiritually perfect and infinitely blessed. And the scriptures today is from Colossians chapter 2, verses 9 through 10. For in him the whole fullness of deity dwells bodily, and you have come to fullness in him who is the head of every ruler and authority. Here are a few things we want to tell you about this week. Next Sunday's 11 a.m. service will feature Janine Flotten, and there she is, for Palm Sunday. Great light in our midst. Our March theme is Realizing Our Wisdom. This month's spiritual power is wisdom, represented by the disciple James, the son of Zebedee, and Deborah, the judge. The color is yellow. And I didn't have any yellow. I'm sorry, I didn't wear any today. I looked too, I couldn't find any. But thank you for all of you who wore yellow, and especially look at Roger. Yeah, he's even more yellow than the man who wears the yellow hat. Well, a lot of you don't have kids these days, I guess. Where am I? Hospitality is provided today by Nancy Crawford and Linda Lynn. Please join us for food, fun, and fellowship downstairs after the service. Thank you to all those who provide hospitality and help with setup and cleanup are always appreciated. Choir will meet directly after hospitality. Choir, please nourish so we can flourish and sing on time. Our online book group will meet Mondays at 12:30 p.m. on Zoom. They are reading Understanding Your Soul, The Channeled Wisdom of Jesus by Christine Bush. Please contact Nancy Life or Judy Crenshaw if you would like the link. Our in-person Unity book group meets Tuesdays at 12:30 p.m. They are reading The Lost Mary by James Tabor. This is a historical look at the life of Mary, Mother of Jesus. Books are available for purchase from Linda Andrus. They are $22. Please pay Linda. Please like, share, and comment on Unity's Facebook page to spread the word about our great community. A Course in Miracles study group meets Mondays at 2 p.m. at the home of Tom and Linda Andrus. Please see Linda if you need directions. A Course in Miracles beginners group is meeting Thursdays at 5:30 here at Unity in the sanctuary. Thursday's time of silent prayer and meditation for world peace is at 7 p.m. Please join us for a 20-minute time of silent meditation as we visualize our world in blessed peace. Thanks so much of those of you who continue to support our Unity community through your tithes and love offerings. Their generous donations enable us to keep our building full of spiritual seekers and other community groups throughout the month. We appreciate you. Unity's 10% tithe on all income received each quarter is divided between and sent to help the missions of Unity headquarters, Unity Northwest Region, and local Missoula chapter charities as voted on annually by the board. Please hold them in your heart as we affirm our offering blessing. I will affirm it once, then repeat it with me. I open my heart to love. All that I give and all that I receive is blessed and multiplied from a joyful heart of love. Together one more time. I open my heart to love. All that I give and all that I receive is blessed and multiplied from a joyful heart of love. Together one more time. Oh, in my heart to love. All that I give and all that I receive is blessed and multiplied from a joyful heart of love. Would our usher members please pass the offering baskets? Mm-hmm. It's a little awkward. Before we move on with the talk for this week, I will affirm Unity's primary affirmation and ask you to join me for 2 more times. There is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Together, there is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And again, there is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. In addition, here is our Missoula Unity affirmation. I will affirm it once and ask you to join me again. We are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. Together, we are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. Unity of Missoula maintains a circle of people who have made a commitment to pray every day for others at their request. If you have names of people to hold in prayer for a month, you may place their names in the prayer box located on the altar, which is right there, or call the church and leave a message with those names. Their names will be sent out to our prayer circle and to Silent Unity for 30 days of prayer. Please join me in prayer for a moment as we hold all of them in our hearts. You may also now say aloud or silently the names of those you wish to bring into this time of prayer. Dear God, we hold these friends and loved ones in our hearts. We behold their light as expressions of the indwelling Christ. We release them to your care and affirm divine order in their lives and ours. Thank you, God. Amen. And here's Pat Brooks to lead us in singing, We Make Our Own World. Words are on the wall.
This is about happy, so could you stand if you're able? Oh, wait a minute. Wrong page. We make our own world wherever we are. Our happiness is of our own making. We make our own world wherever we are. Our happiness then is for the taking. Our world goes with us as we walking along each day. Our world can be a heaven or hell. Our attitudes will say we make our own world wherever we are. Let's make it happy. Let's live in beauty. We make our own world wherever we are. Keep thinking happy. We want to make a new world. Let's all say, I am happy.
That's great. Thought follows action. As action follows thought. Very good. What do we do now? Today's speaker is Roger Harvey, and I've already talked a little bit about Roger. I didn't ask him anything, but he's such a modest guy. If I ask him what he wants, he just, he doesn't know what to say because he's that kind of guy. But I know Roger's been a great friend of Unity and a great friend of mine. He's the kind of guy you can call in the middle of the night and he'll come help you. And I've experienced that myself. Roger has helped me late at night, and he helps this community in so many ways. And he's not a real joiner. It took him quite a while to decide he wanted to join Unity, but he participated all the time along there. And then he joined, and now he's going to give us a great talk, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Roger.
You don't need this. No, I don't need this. This is just a little adjustment here. I know I built this thing, but I don't ever want to stand behind it and talk to you. I will. Oh. This is for my props. Ugh. Are we ready? Okay, good. Thank you for all being here, and all those people on the internet out there in internet land. I hope you can hear me. If you can't, talk to somebody up there. For the rest of you, I can talk loud enough without this mic for you all to hear, but we'll keep the mic on anyway. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Luis and Jan and John and Kathy for the music today. People, before you speak, somebody who plays the piano always calls you and says, what kind of music would you like? And I don't know anything about music. And I always tell them, I don't know. I did the same thing to my wife. I said, I have no idea. Play some music. I had no idea what was going to be in the Daily Word. I didn't know what song we were going to sing. You've already heard almost everything I'm going to tell you today. No, I'm truly serious. I am truly serious. It's an interesting thing. I struggled a great deal with this idea of wisdom. Somehow we're supposed to realize our wisdom. And wisdom's an interesting thing. And I was trying to think, when have I been wise? I know when I've been a wise back of horse, and other things like that. But when have I been wise in my life? I don't think I really know when I've been wise. And so, being a teacher at heart, I have to figure things out. I have to get some information. So, I went to the internet. And they're always right there. Always, always, always right. And I looked up quotes on wisdom. And I found 91 of them that I copied off. But I stopped at that point because there were so many of them. I didn't want to have to read through every one of them. But I did read through the 91. And then I narrowed it down, and then I narrowed it down some more, just to 5 that I think I want to share with you, to give you an idea of what other people think is important when we think about wisdom. This first one is from Albert Hubbard, I believe is his name. Wisdom cannot be acquired simply by reading books. Knowledge is one thing, wisdom quite another. You can't get it through reading books. I should have stopped right there, but I didn't. But that's a very interesting thing, that knowledge, that which we, when we all went to school and we studied and got things learned and we graduated from high school or college or whatever, became plumbers or whatever. My youngest grandson just got to be a journeyman electrician. A lot of studying, so that's a lot of knowledge, but not necessarily any wisdom. Hopefully he's learned some by not sticking his finger in a socket. But that's an interesting idea, that you cannot read about getting wisdom. You have to find it another way. So here's the second one I wanted to share with you. The only true wisdom is knowing that you don't know anything. The only true wisdom is knowing that you don't know anything. Again, that sounds kind of like, don't read too many books, you won't find it there anyway. But that whole idea that this wisdom thing is in some sense, a mystery, that we recognize it when we see it, but we don't necessarily know how to get it. It's something else. So, and then here's Oprah Winfrey. She says, turn your wounds into wisdom. Turn your wounds into wisdom. That really got me thinking, what does she mean by that? What wisdom can be gained from our wounds? And I am relatively convinced that everybody has their own wounds. That life is just like that. It happens. And I was thinking about my own life and the things that have happened to me and the wounds that I have occurred to my life. And when I think about them, and I think about my father who delivered a lot of those wounds, what did he teach me other than he was a cruel man? And I realized this might be my first thing I'm going to actually say that was wise, is that he taught me that I could be compassionate because I understand how hurtful those wounds in our lives are. That I can understand when somebody needs to cry. I'm not afraid to hold somebody. I'm not afraid to walk over and just grab them and let them wail. Because that's something my father taught me. Or the wisdom that I learned from that stuff. It's an interesting thing, this wisdom stuff. It doesn't seem to follow any real track. This next one is from Hermann Hesse. Knowledge can be communicated, but not wisdom. One must find it, live it, be fortified by it, do wonders through it, but one cannot communicate or teach wisdom. Goes back to all that reading those books. All that knowledge is not necessarily going to take you to a place of wisdom. Something else has to happen. That even now, it's like, why did I struggle with this? Because it's hard to communicate. It's hard to teach somebody wisdom. Yet I know you all recognize it when you see it. I've told the story in here before. I was at a wedding for some friends down in a park, and they canoed in and on the river, and they were there, and everybody was having a great time. And out of the downtown area came a gentleman that was a known alcoholic in the city. You knew him. I don't know his name, but I know you who've been here for a long time knew who he was. He was a Native American gentleman. And he comes walking across the yard, and I was standing next to two big strapping young guys, and we all decided that we were not going to let him get not anywhere near that wedding. He was going to make a mess of it. So we turned and we started walking towards him. We were probably maybe from here across the street to where he was. Then out of nowhere, this young man in his early 20s, someplace in there, he comes across, and he didn't run. He didn't walk fast, but he beat us to him, and we were much, much closer. And he looked at him and said, "What do you need?" These guys, just beer. He said, "What does it cost?" He says, $5. Guy reaches in his pocket and says, "Well, here's 6. Here's 6. And the man went away. 3 mature adult males were ready to do battle. And this kid walks over and looks at the man in all the compassion in the world and says, "What do you need?" He says, "Beer." I remember that because that was wisdom beyond my understanding. A couple years later, a lot of us here were at Lavinia's funeral thing, and a gentleman got up and started talking, and it had nothing to do with Lavinia's service, and I kept waiting for somebody to shut him up. And I waited, and finally I remembered that gentleman, that young man, and I walked up to the front, and I looked at him, and I reached out with my hand, and I said, "Why don't you come with me and tell me about that?" And we walked across the park to another place to sit down, and he told me about all the evil things that had happened to him since he'd been in Missoula. And the service could go on and people could mourn and talk about Lavinia without having being interrupted by this gentleman. So I'd seen wisdom act in one way, and I knew I could do that. But that's, how would you know to do that unless something inside you told you to do that? Where does this come from, this wisdom that we're talking about? It's really interesting. Last one of these little things I want to add to you here. Number 5. It's on the page, I got them numbered. Knowledge without application is simple knowledge. Applying knowledge to one's life is wisdom. So, I'm going to embarrass some people now. Sorry. Applied knowledge. That's that stuff you learn at school. All those books you read, all that stuff. Some people like this guy back here, Jeff, he knows all kinds of things about music. And he can play the piano and a guitar, and I don't know what else. He can sing. Huh? Radio. Oh, yeah, he can play the radio. Well, then if I better talk about myself because I can do, no. But that's knowledge. But what Jeff does when he gets up here and sings a song that he's just created for us. And only one I can think is the Buddha Bee one. And it's you know, it makes us smile. It fills us with life. And it's a piece of wisdom that he shared with us. It's just extraordinary. The same thing with Janine and the choir in a couple of weeks. You're all going to take stuff you know. Things you know. Words, they're all mostly English. Okay, mostly English. But you're going to sing, but in that choir, in that combination, the beauty that's created, the wisdom that's created is not just the words anymore. I can now pick on Dick Rothermel, my friend Dick. Dick worked out at the fire lab for years and years and years, and they had a problem. They couldn't predict how a fire was going to burn. They had no ideas. So Dick and his buddies out there started thinking about it. And you know what Dick did? He took all that knowledge he had of math and science and all that stuff, and all the things that they were learning at the fire lab, and he wrote an algorithm. That algorithm predicts fire behavior, and they are using it even today. It's getting more and more sophisticated, but even one part of it, Dick said they're going to find little things that shoot out of the fire little in front of the fire. That actually is what takes the fire forward. Just a couple years ago, they found what he predicted they would find. Dick took all that knowledge and created an algorithm that is wisdom. That's probably saved hundreds, if not thousands of lives and kept people from being hurt in fires all over the world. When Australia was burning up a couple years ago, hello, Mr. Rothermel, can you come down and talk to us about fire behavior? He said, no, I'm too old, I'm not going. Another kind of wisdom. So as we sit here, I could keep doing this with each one of you, with what you know, and how you bring it forward in the world. How you bring your understanding, your knowledge to play in your life and create pieces of wisdom that other people will see and value. It's just the way we are. It's an amazing thing. It's an absolutely amazing thing. And I can't not do this part. I actually went online and got a concordance of Charles Fillmore's writing, so that I can go at home and I don't have to come here to the church anymore because there's only one down there and I can stay at home and do with my own concordance and look things up. So the first thing I'm going to do is not talk about Charles. I'm going to talk about Emily Cady and Lessons in Truth. She was a student at the same time of the New Thought and wrote extensively for the Fillmores in their magazines and things. This is what Miss Cady has to say. God is wisdom and intelligence. All the wisdom and intelligence that we see in the universe is God, is wisdom projected through a visible form. That's the last part's the tricky part. It's projected through a visual form. Do you know what the visual form is? You guys. All the wisdom in the world, that's God, is in us. How many things did you hear this morning about things being inside you? The music that we sang, the reading was given. Each one of those things was talking about the divinity that's within us, that wisdom that is in there. And so how do we bring, it says, how do you bring that forward into your lives? It's all there, and it's right here in this room. All the wisdom we need is here in this room. It's touching it and bringing it forward. It's the knock and the door shall be opened. Ask and it shall be given. You have to look for it. You have to open yourself up to it. And many years ago, somebody asked me to talk about surrendering to God. I refused to do it. I stood up here and gave a big talk about refusing to surrender. I can't surrender. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I spend my mornings now trying to make that connection. And I'm not very good meditator. But I'm there every morning, touching it when I can, and hoping that I can bring it forward in my life. But that's what this is about, bringing that forward into our lives, that which is already there. It's amazing. See, number 2, there's only 4 of these. And this is from Charles, and it's from his book on prosperity. So wisdom even has something to do with being prosperous. There is an infinite, omnipresent wisdom within us that will deal with the thoughts and guide us to make discrimination between right and wrong that we can trust. That which is inside of us, that wisdom, if you call upon it, can help you make decisions about what is the right thing to do right now for you. And this is the great part. You know, you guys know that I love the tenets, the principles of this church. And I've always said, you know, I can go through them real quick. And, you know, God is all good, present, and everywhere. And I'm naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in you too. I create my life by what I choose to think, feel, and believe. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I come in contact with God and bring out the good in my life. And then the last one, I always thought it was kind of silly. I do the best I can by living the truth I know. The truth I know. That means the I is you. What you live your truth. You're doing your best when you live your truth, not the truth that I'm talking about. Not the truth from some power on high. Not even the truth from Unity Central. This is a church that believes that we are responsible for our own lives and for our own spiritual growth. And that's part of the deal. That's part of this whole process. How do we find that in ourselves And we say, through affirmative prayer and meditation. God, how many times have I said that in these talks? How do you touch that? How do you finally come in contact with that in ourselves so that we can bring it forward into the world? That's what I was struggling with when I first thought about wisdom. What is this wisdom? And how do you find it? Well, you don't find it. You open yourself up to it. That which is truly inside of us right now. Okay. Yep, don't. One more. Here's one more. And if you're not familiar with Charles's writing and you want to read something, Lessons in Truth is a great place to start. And if there's a second place to start, it's this book. It's called The Atom-Smashing Power of the Mind, because it speaks to the whole idea of creating your lives. And it has to do with changing your mind, changing your thinking. Where did it go? Those who have recklessly gone on living without seeking wisdom. Excuse me, I'm going to start again. Those who have recklessly gone on living without seeking the wisdom of the source of life are now asking, what shall be done to save us from the insanity that would destroy our world? This book that was written over 100 years ago. I did not make it up. I read it verbatim. The idea that we have the power within us to change our lives. One of the things I've learned in my own recovery stuff is that my anger that I had as a child, for most of my adult life, when I came and embraced it and found out what its source was and dealt with that the best I could, all of a sudden I wasn't as angry. It doesn't mean I'm not angry still. I'm sorry, dear. I'm out of reach. But that anger was dissipated. So I didn't change the world's anger. I changed my anger. And when I changed my anger, there was less anger in the world. That's how this works. When you find that wisdom in yourself, there's more wisdom in the world. When you look at things that have hurt you and you deal with that hurt and it brings you back into a place of equilibrium, someplace that's a little more stable. Your feet feel like they're on the ground, not floating someplace off in space. That's when you know that the world is getting better, no matter what it looks like out there. We all can change our worlds and change it, and by bringing this wisdom that's inside of us out into the world and sharing that with other people. I'm doing great on time. This is the last one. This one's out of the 12 Powers of Man. So this is right out of the chapter on wisdom. It says, so let us rid our minds of man-made standards of judgment and seek inner wisdom that reveals life is indeed a scientific proposition, that the object of which is to bring forth the divine qualities of the Superman. The Superman is you and I, the Christ within. The idea of being at this church and listening to people give talks and reading this stuff is you're gaining knowledge of how Charles and Myrtle Fillmore believe the world worked. I, for one, have decided that they're pretty much right on. I'm convinced that the tenets of this church are tenets that you can live by. I prefer tenets over principles, but I understand that that's true, that I think they're true. Now, I know it up here. I got it up here. that this is what the longest trip in the whole journey for a man or a woman in their lives, going from their mind to their heart, so that those things can be known and we can start living them as a daily part of our lives. It's a tough deal, guys. We make mistakes every day. Louise said, "Are you ready to go?" I said, "No, I can't get my shirt buttoned." And she said, and she goes, "Are you ready to go?" I said, "I can't get my shirt buttoned." And finally I had to look up the stairs and said, "I need help." And she came down and she buttoned my collar buttons so that I could get my tie on. But I'm sorry I snapped at you, okay? It was too frustrating. You know, you'd think that all I had to do was go, after 30-some years of marriage, all I did, "Dear, I really need some help with this button." But I didn't. I snapped and said, "No, I need some help." I think I was about 4 years old. You know, what is it that we need help with? How do we find this wisdom? We're going to do a meditation here shortly, but I want to talk to you about it before we do it, because I think it's another way that we might be able to bring that wisdom into our lives. David MacArthur, who was a minister here, how many years ago, Linda? 30-some years ago. He was here before I got here and left me before I got here too. But he worked with heart math and other things, and he's written other books. And in the last one that we read in the Tuesday book group, he talked about a process of coming into a situation where you needed an answer. And you didn't want to just instantly blurt out something. You wanted to take some time and respond to it in a loving manner. And he said the first thing you have to do is recognize that there's something in you that is not happy, something in you that needs to be said or done, and you don't know what to do. The second thing you do is you think of something in you that is a place where it's really, really happy. And it could be chocolate cake from the your sixth birthday or something. For me, it happens to be Rock Creek and a fish rising in late hours of the day, taking a fly that I tied and casting a rod I built. It's instant calm for me to see that fly line go back and go forward, that fly land right where I wanted to, and watching that fish come up and snap it up. That's a place of peace for me. Whatever that is for you, you got to find that. And then you touch your heart and you ask yourself, how can I see this differently? That's the knocking on the door. That's the place of saying, I know you're in there. I'm giving you a chance to come out. How can I see this differently? How can I say this differently? And then you be quiet. So, first thing, is there something in your lives right now that's giving you a problem that you would like to say, but you can't find the right words to say it? Think about that. Just hold it in your mind. Now, go to that happy place. I like the idea of chocolate cake. So if you can think of a chocolate cake moment, hold that in your eye. Make sure that you can feel it all the way into the very bones of your body. That quiet, safe place. Now, put your hands on your heart and ask the question it needs to be asked. How can I see this differently? How can I do this differently? gently, very, very gently, come back to the room. And hopefully each one of us got a little something back from that. But if you didn't get it today, you got to add something to do this afternoon. You can always go back and ask again. I'd like to finish my talk with telling you that you should never listen to me. You know, as a kid, they tell you, don't touch the stove. It's hot. It will burn you. So, but has anybody not put their hand on a stove and found out that it was hot and it will burn you? No hands went up, folks. Okay. Okay, so I managed to do that in one shot. I got that. I've burned myself a lot more times, but that when you live in north central Montana, Chinook, Montana, in 1958, when you're in first grade, and you're out on the playground, and it's colder than a well digger's, whatever, and you're out there and somebody says, bet you can't put your tongue on that steel. I bet you can't do that. Yeah, somebody else is, so yeah, I did it. I pulled my tongue off. It was bleeding like everything else. But somebody else said, I bet you can't do that again. Now, I'm sure it was a third grader that was just a mean person, but I can't remember. But I do remember doing it a second time. So I don't do it anymore. But some of us, wisdom comes harder than others. So just know that this process of growing into being more spiritual human beings is a path, it's a growth, it's, as Charles says, it's an ever-evolving, everly spiraling upward that we're all on. And we're all in different places, and we're all having different challenges. So be gentle with yourselves. Find, if you can't find somebody you can talk to, pay somebody that you can talk to. That was one of the great things that one of the other ministers said to me one time. Well, if you can't find a friend, buy one. So I paid a lot of people money just so I can talk to them and say, I have a problem. And they say, you certainly do. But after a while, they say, we don't need to talk about that anymore. And I said, yeah, I don't, do I? But we learn, and it's always growing. It's always happening for us, each and every one of us. It's a great blessing of being here that we do get to grow into this. So let's say our prayer for protection. Yeah, are we ready? The light of God surrounds us. Lie on the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. Power of God protects us. I am the power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever I are, God is, and all is well. We are one. So let's form our circle and we'll sing our peace song. Stove's hot. Don't touch it. It will burn you. Don't listen to me. I stuck my tongue on it twice. But when you go out there today and the sun is shining, know that you are truly the children of God, indwelled by the Christ being that is your perfect being. It is who you truly are. You are the love that's in this world. You are the peace that is in this world. And make sure when you go out there that you're having fun.